right, Fred. How are you?
Busy. Too busy. I've got staff to manage. I've got emails piling up. I've got meetings back to back. I've had to cancel my darts again tonight. It's not like I run a business. It's more like the business runs me.
Sounds like a classical case of calendar chaos. Fred, are you taking any time for yourself?
Well, I tried, didn't I? I booked myself a mindfulness session. I thought, Fred, it's time to look after number one. But the problem is, I booked it 15 minutes after a major meeting with a client.
Oof, sounds like a tight turnaround.
Well, I had to run across town like a scene from Mission Impossible. I got there sweating buckets. I nearly knocked a lad over on a unicycle. When I got there, a bloke offered me a tissue for my sweat before he even started breathing.
Well, did you feel at least a little bit more centered?
No, I didn't.
Fred, I think it's about time we reclaimed your calendar.
Is that a pun? Or are you actually onto something?
Both. Let me show you a product called Reclaim.ai, because Reclaim are today's Takeover Tuesday. Now, if you've ever felt like Fred, running from meeting to meeting with no time to think, eat, or even breathe, then Reclaim might be just the thing you need. Reclaim.ai is a smart calendar assistant. It connects to your calendar and automatically defends your time for things like focus work, regular habits, meetings, and even lunch. Reclaim helps you protect the stuff that matters without spending half your life dragging things around your calendar. And now, here's where it gets really interesting. Reclaim was originally built just for Google Calendar, but now they've launched full support for Outlook and Microsoft 365. So if you're living in Outlook, like I do, like Fred does, this is an absolute game changer. Now you might be sat there wondering, yeah, but how easy is it to set Reclaim.ai up? The answer is really easy. Let me show you. Okay, let's get Fred and you set up with Reclaim. Now, to get started, it's very simple. There's a big blue button here saying Get Started. So I'm going to be using my Bearded 365 Guy email account. So I'm logged into Outlook here. Before I click on here, I just want to head over to the pricing page, because a lot of people don't know, but Reclaim has a free forever version. So you can get started and start using Reclaim and it doesn't cost you anything, okay? These prices here are the annual charges, and you can click on monthly. So you can pay monthly and you'll pay a little bit more. Now, just to know, I've got a link in my signature, and if you use that link, you can enjoy the premium features of Reclaim for an extended trial of 30 days. Okay, so it's well worth trying that. Okay, back to the homepage. I'll show you how easy it is to get started here. We click on here, and then we get this page here. So are you using Google Calendar or Outlook? Obviously, I'm using Outlook, so I click on here. Now, because I'm already signed into Microsoft 365 here, I'm going to get taken straight to this page here. If you're not signed in, it will ask you to sign in using your credentials. So then I simply click on Accept, and we get to this page here. Okay, click on Continue, connect our Outlook calendar, click on here again, and there we go. My Outlook calendar is connected. Very, very straightforward. Click on Continue. And then we've got a few questions that we need to answer. So I will go through these. Now I'm going to skip this section here because I'm going to show you all these things in the demo. Okay, so I'll skip these. We can create a team if we want, but I will click on Finish. Now, within seconds, you will see your calendar start to populate. So these are just all test appointments that I've put in. But if I go over to my Outlook calendar, you can see this is a direct replica of this, okay? And so we're going to start to see the magic. Reclaim is going to start learning from our schedule right away. Now, let's move on to the big one, focus time. This is the thing most of us don't have enough of. Focus time in Reclaim is like a shield for your brain. You tell it how much you want each day or each week. Let's say you want 2 hours of solid work in the mornings, and Reclaim finds the best slots and blocks them out in your calendar. These blocks are protected. They flex if you need them to, but they're not just suggestions. This is time for the stuff that actually needs your attention. You can even decide how strict you want it to be. Do you want Reclaim to defend that time like a bouncer at a VIP party? Okay, it will. This is how you stop your week being completely consumed by other people's priorities. Focus time lets you put your work first. Let me show you focus time. Okay, so let's head over to time blocking and focus. Okay, click on let's go. And then we get this option here. So we've got to set our focus time goal. Okay, so what scheduling mode do you have? Do you have a proactive one, which is for moderately busy calendars? Or are you more reactive? Okay, I'm more proactive, so I click on next. And then we get to choose our focus time goal. Because we said we're an IT security consultant at the start of this video, it's telling us we need about 15 to 20 hours every week of focus. But I've got a little toggle here where I can dial it up or dial it down. So I'm just going to dial it down. I'm going to dial it down to maybe 12 hours. Click on next. Okay, now we can give this event title a name. Now, the default is just focus time. You might choose to keep this. But maybe your focus time is on something specific. Like, for example, your focus time might be all about writing scripts for YouTube videos. So you could amend this title if you want. I'm going to leave it as the default. I'm also going to leave the event description as the default as well. Click on next. Okay, then we need to choose the hours that focus time events will be scheduled. Now, it's set at the moment at working hours. So what I should mention as well is I can go to this page here. What we can do in Reclaim is set up some default hours. So we can say, well, actually, I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8 till 1. Okay, you might be part-time. You can set your default working hours here. Likewise, you can set your default working hours or your default hours for meetings. So you might say, well, I only have meetings every day from 10 till 11. That's all I do when it comes to meetings. And also, you can choose your default hours for personal hours as well. So you might say, well, every Wednesday afternoon, it's personal time. Okay. Again, I'm just going to leave these as the default at the moment. And I will choose working hours here for my focus time. I can also auto-decline meetings during focus events. So if someone sends me a meeting request during focus time, Reclaim can auto-decline it, okay? And we can put a message here, I've blocked this time off to focus, okay? So there's a bit of automation in there. I will just switch this to off and I will click on Start to Schedule. And Reclaim is going to start auto-scheduling focus time in a few moments' time. Let's head back to the planner now and look at that. Reclaim has put these things in my calendar. So this is all based on the number of hours that I chose when I was setting up focus time, okay? My default of 12 hours a week, and Reclaim has put this into my calendar. So we can see Friday, it's a bit lighter for me, so I've got a couple of hours there of focus time. But there's days like Wednesday where it's quite busy, okay? And it's just given me half an hour in the morning. Reclaim has taken care of everything for me. I can go back to here. I can edit focus time if I want. If I need more hours or something like that, I can go in and I can edit. So focus time is a great feature. Now, let's talk about the important stuff. The things that actually keep you going when you're running a business. For me, that's my morning routine. A bit of reading, some meditation, and some exercise. It sets me up for the day, unless my calendar eats it alive. In Reclaim, I can create these as habits. I can set one for reading, give it a flexible time window. say between 6:30 and 8 a.m., and tell Reclaim how many times a week I want it to happen. And boom, it finds time for it in my calendar. Same for meditation and a bit of exercise. And the best part, I don't need to micromanage when it happens. Reclaim adjusts around my real schedule, so these habits flex without disappearing. And then, of course, there's lunch, which, yes, it's a real thing. It's not just a dream. I've got a habit that blocks out time every day, so I'm not trying to eat a sandwich during a Teams call. And later in the day, I've got a habit for getting outside, even if it's just for a quick walk around the block, just to remind myself what a tree actually looks like. Now, this isn't just time blocking. This is Reclaim defending your priorities. These are the routines that help me show up better in my business. And Reclaim makes sure that they actually happen. Now, I'm sure you all want to know what habits look like in Reclaim. Okay, let me show you. Now you can see my calendar's getting nice and full. I've got all my appointments and I've got my focus time. But what about the all-important habits? Well, I go to time blocking and I go to habits and I get to this screen here. Now I can easily from here just click on new habit. But Reclaim has made it even easier because they've got lots of built-in templates that we can use to get going. Okay, I've got all these templates, which is fantastic. So in my example, I'm going to use the lunch template. Okay, I need to make time to have my lunch. It's really important. Firstly, we give the habit a name. Reclaim has auto-populated this because it's a template. Then it's on to priority. Okay, we've got all these priorities here. Now, how important is it to you that this habit gets done? Maybe you've got a quiet week and you know that you're going to easily have lunch every day. But what happens if you've got a busy week? I personally do some meditation, and sometimes when it's busy, the meditation is the first thing that I stop doing. But of course, that's counterintuitive because meditation is one of the most important things that I should be doing, especially if I'm busy. So keep this priority in mind. The higher priority habits in Reclaim will get scheduled into your calendar more aggressively. Okay? So it's critical that I eat my lunch. So I'm going to leave this priority as critical. We can then color code and we can add it to a category. Okay, and that is for stats, and we'll go over stats a little bit, but we've got a stats section there. We can add notes, we can add a location. Now on to the all-important scheduling. So we can schedule using our working hours, our meeting hours, or our personal hours. But if I schedule, for example, using my working hours, I might end up having my lunch at 8:30 in the morning. So I don't really want that. So the best course of action for this is to choose some one-off hours. And this is populated here now. So this is saying, I want my lunch anytime between 11:30 and 2 p.m. Okay, this is the window that I want my lunch in. If I scroll down a little bit more, this is the repetition. So this is going to happen on weekdays 5 times a week. So it's going to happen every day. There's my ideal days. What's the ideal time in an ideal world that I'd like to have my lunch? Well, it's actually midday, 12 o'clock. So if everything is going well in my week, I would like to sit down and have my lunch at 12 o'clock. And what about the duration? Okay, well, I want a minimum of 30 minutes for my lunch, but I don't want any more than an hour. So if it gets to Friday and I've got a free afternoon, why not take an hour? Okay, but I don't want any more than that because after all, we've got work to do. If we scroll down a little bit more, we've got a time defense section here. So how aggressively will Reclaim defend this event on your calendar? So we're choosing Reclaim's AI. And this is the default. So Reclaim will use AI to set habits to free or busy depending on the priority of the habit and your availability. But as you can see here, you can choose certain habits that you can always be marked as free or busy. Okay, so if we say we're always busy, it will mean that people can't schedule anything into this. Okay, if you're always free, there's a chance that this lunch could be moved. Okay, I will leave this as the default. Again, we can also decline invites. If anybody sends a meeting invite over lunch, they can automatically be declined. I will click on save, which will then create this habit. That's scheduling everything in now. So let's go and look at my planner. And you can see that Reclaim has organized my lunches. So if you remember, the ideal time is from 11:30 to 2 p.m. On Monday, I've got some work here, look, at 12:30. So Reclaim has spotted an hour's gap here, and it's given me an hour's lunch from 1 till 2. And same kind of thing on Tuesday, Wednesday. But what about Thursday? Because Thursday's a busy day. But Reclaim has spotted a 30-minute gap here. Remember, the minimum time, 30 minutes. So it's enabled me to grab my lunch at 12:30 on Thursday. So how do we manage these events on our calendar? What happens if Reclaim have scheduled these events and they're not really ideal? Well, we can easily, right-click on this. We can skip it, which means it will delete the event from the calendar, or we can lock it in. Or to reschedule, we can just RSVP, okay? So they're the options to manage these events on our calendar. And the idea from here is to create all your habits within Reclaim, okay? And make sure you are prioritizing what is important in your life. Now, let's say I've got something important I need to get done. Like, I don't know, maybe making a video for YouTube about Reclaim.ai. Now, that isn't a 30-minute job. I need time to research. I need time to write the script. And also, I need time to actually film the video. So I can create a task in Reclaim. Maybe my research takes maybe 2 hours. And then I've got to write the script. Maybe that takes 90 minutes. And then I've got to film the video within 25 takes. So that might take me another 2 hours. Then what I can do is give Reclaim a deadline, because this video I want to publish next Friday. And here's the clever part. I don't have to figure out when I'm going to do all of this work. Reclaim looks at my existing meetings, my habits, my focus time, and it finds the best available slots to get this work done before the deadline. So there's no more squeezing things in or just staring at your calendar wondering where your week has gone. Reclaim makes sure that important tasks actually get the time they need, and not just when you're already completely burned out. Let me show you tasks in Reclaim. Okay, so I'm back in my planner. Let's now go over to time blocking and tasks. Now you'll see that my task list is currently empty. So let's change that. I'm going to click on New Task. Now, as always, I give this task a name. Produce a Reclaim video, okay? As always, I can give this a priority. Now, be careful not to set everything as a critical priority. Be quite honest about this. You might have some tasks that just aren't that important this week, and so set the priority accordingly. This is quite important, so I'm going to set this as high. Now, how long is this task going to take me? Well, I've got to research Reclaim, I've got to write the video script, I've got to film the video. So all in all, it's going to take around 5 hours to do. Now, I'm going to use this split up here. So that's important, okay? We'll talk about that in a moment. What about the minimum and maximum duration? Well, the minimum duration for me is 30 minutes. If I've got a quick half an hour that I can spend on this task, I'd like to do that. And the maximum is 2 hours. After this time, I start to lose focus. So I just want to spend the maximum of 2 hours working this task. We can choose our hours. So we've got our working hours here, our personal hours. This is definitely a working task. Then I want to schedule this. So I'm going to start this probably on Monday next week, okay? And it's due to be completed on the Friday. So I've got basically a working week to get this done. Then I'm going to click on Create. And that task is created in my task list. So how does this affect my calendar? Well, let's click on there now. Okay, you can see that Reclaim has split this task up into little chunks, okay, totaling the 5 hours that I set to complete this task. You can also see that this task at the moment is marked as free, okay? Task events are scheduled as free time when Reclaim sees more than one possible option for getting it scheduled before your due date, okay? It would be marked as busy if Reclaim sees no other possible options, but you can see there's a few slots. So what I can do here, I can simply say, well, I don't want to do all this video on Monday or the bulk of this on Monday. I might want to finish a little bit earlier. So this section here, no, it's a bit late for me. I'm not going to be concentrating. So I can drag this and I can just dump this into Friday. Okay, you can see now because I've moved it, it's locked that in. Okay, it's now moved this from here. Okay, it's moving my calendar around based on my availability. Okay, you can see here, look, I've now had Sean who wants a catch up with me, and I'm meant to have be slotting in an hour here. But I could do with that. I could do with having a catch up with Sean. So if I agree to her meeting here, you can see that this slot now is changed. Reclaim is organizing my calendar. Okay, so it's now giving me half an hour here, and it's put half an hour into here, okay, the next day. So it's juggling everything around based on my availability. Now, I really need to get going with this. So I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to lock this one in, okay? I'm going to lock this in for 8:30. I'm going to lock this one in for 12 o'clock, okay? Because I need to get these done. I'm going to lock this in as well. So you can see that I'm starting to lock these in. Again, it's rescheduled that for there. Let's just move this over to Friday. Again, that is now locked in. Let's lock this in. And you can see now that all these are locked in. So I'm going to get my video completed for Friday. Good news. That is how Reclaim handles our tasks. Okay, let's say I need to book a weekly meeting with Fred. And I don't want to go back and forth with 12 emails and a carrier pigeon. Reclaim's smart meetings let you set the parameters. Who are you meeting with? How long should the meeting be? Your preferred days and times, and how flexible you want it to be. So I'm going to set this up with Fred. 30 minutes long, preferably Thursday morning. But I'll give Reclaim a bit of wriggle room across the entire week. Now, instead of locking it into one fixed slot, Reclaim will look at both our calendars and find the best time that works for everyone, even if our plans change. And what happens if something comes up and Fred books another meeting? Well, Reclaim just slides the meeting somewhere else. It's a bit like Tetris, but it actually helps. There's no more back and forth, no more double booking, no more guessing. Reclaim figures it out and everyone wins. Let me show you smart meetings in Reclaim. Okay, let's talk about smart meetings. We go over to Smart Meetings here and we click on New Smart Meeting. We obviously give this meeting a name. What about Daily Catch Up? Okay, color code it. Again, it's in my, I can categorize any of these meetings. This is just a one-to-one. I can add a description. Okay, what about attendees? I'll put Sean in here. Okay, so Sean is now in here. We can add video links. So I've got Microsoft Teams, but you can also add Zoom integration, which is really handy, okay? Now, the all-important scheduling, okay? I want this to happen every day, okay? It's going to tell me that Saturday and Sunday it won't happen because that's not in the default calendar. That's absolutely fine. I don't think I want a one-to-one on a Saturday or a Sunday. We need the minimum of 15 minutes and the maximum of 30 minutes. Again, you're going to recognize these sections here. The ideal time for me is 2 p.m. It's a high priority. Okay, so how is this going to look? Okay, let's click on save. Yes. And let's go back to my planner. So we've not gone backwards and forwards. What Reclaim has done is found the right amount of time in my calendar. It's given me half an hour each time because I've got availability in my calendar. What I can do, I can right click on this. Again, I can lock this in. What about this one here? I can maybe skip that one. Skip that meeting because it's not important, and that will remove it out of my calendar. What about this one here? We can reschedule it any other time. That will take it out of my calendar, and it's put it in for a little bit later. Okay? All this with the power of Reclaim. Now, if you regularly need to let people book time with you, that's clients, partners, maybe even Fred, Reclaim's scheduling links feature makes it absolutely painless. You can create custom booking links with all your preferences built in. Things like meeting length, buffer time before and after, preferred times of the day, and even how many meetings you want to allow every day. So, for example, you could have a link for a 30-minute call. I'll say I'm available from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and no more than 2 of these meetings a day. And I want at least 15 minutes to breathe before and after. Now, Reclaim generates a clean booking page that updates in real time based on your actual calendar, including all of your habits, focus time, and of course, smart meetings. So this means no one can double book you or squeeze something in when you're supposed to be out walking the dog or eating your sandwich. Let me show you how scheduled links work in Reclaim. Okay, let's have a look at scheduling links. So we go over to meetings and scheduling links. And you can see here, look, I've got my own booking page, and I can copy that link here and I can open it up here. And this is my public facing booking page. You can see all my meetings that I've got in here are there. We've also got team links. So it says here, team links allows invitees to book time with multiple members of your team. Okay. What about round robin links? Round robin links allows invitees to book time with anyone from a group of people. So you've got a lot of options when it comes to scheduling. Okay. Just head back to my links here. What I can do, I can create a new link. First of all, I give this link a name, maybe a daily one-to-one. I can give it a description. I can add different organizers into this. So if I've got multiple organizers, but this is just me, so that's okay. This can happen over Microsoft Teams. Zoom, we've not got integrated, so I will remove that off here. And then we hop down to the scheduling. Okay. So we're used to priorities now in Reclaim, aren't we? So we can set a priority for this meeting. I'll put this as medium. It is a medium one. If we get to do this every day, that's great. If not, it's not the end of the world. And we can have different durations. Okay. So I might put in here 15 minutes. I might add 30 minutes. And what it means is I might add 45 minutes. People can choose the duration, okay? So if they just want a quick chat, they can choose 15 minutes. If they want something longer, they can choose 45 minutes, okay? And then we get on to the soonest scheduling time. So if someone hops on this scheduling link today, they can book a meeting 4 hours from now. Now, you might have a type of meeting where you need to do a lot of preparation, something like that. So someone just booking in and having a meeting in 4 hours' time, it might not give you the opportunity to do that preparation. So you can select something like this. So it allows attendees to schedule events from the start of the next eligible week. So it gives you that little bit of time. Also, we've got the rolling time window. So at the moment, if someone looks on our calendar, they can book meetings with us 60 days into the future. You can change that and you can set a date as well. Okay, What about buffer settings? Very important when it comes to meetings. Perhaps you do meetings off-site, so you go and see your clients at their offices, okay? You're going to need things like travel times. You can't have people booking back-to-back meetings if you've got to travel in between. So what you can do is you can come in here and you can automatically book travel before and after meetings, and we can set a default travel duration. Even if you're not traveling to meetings, it's never nice to have back-to-back meetings, is it? You know, you finish a meeting and you're straight into another one. You might want to go and get a cup of tea, go to the toilet, and things like that. So in here again, you can schedule 15 minutes. And this happens between tasks and habits to prevent you from overworking. What about decompression after meetings as well? Okay, you can do that as well. All these options. Set a default time. You can set it for certain types of meetings, and it displays on your calendar as decompressing. So we've got some really lovely options when it comes to buffers. Okay, come back to here. What about a frequency limit? Okay, do you want 10 daily one-to-one meetings? Do you want to allow people to do that? Or do you just want 2? And if you want 2 daily one-to-ones, we can set this here so people can't book more than that into your day. These are incredibly useful options. Let's have a look at link settings. There we go. We can choose a little icon. You can hide the link from our booking page, even though you can still share the URL. And we can send email reminders ahead of scheduled events. Again, useful. Booking page customization. We can remove the Reclaim branding if you want. A lot of people don't like to have that on there, so you can remove that. And then we can create the booking link. There she is on my page. If I now go back to here, you can see I've now got my daily one-to-one in my calendar. That's scheduling links in Reclaim.
So this week, I had plenty of time for that board meeting. I wrote that report for finance. I had lunch every day. And I went on 3 walks, one of them without my phone.
So, are you feeling a little bit more mindful now, Fred?
Yeah. First time in years, I felt like I've had space to think without being bombarded with emails and meeting requests.
And what changed?
Well, I've stopped letting my calendar run me. I now use Reclaim like you said, and it does all the heavy lifting for me.
So whether you're in a business like Fred, managing a team, or just trying to protect your time, Reclaim can help. It now works with Outlook, and it's designed to defend your focus, protect your routines, and give you control back of your day. Why don't you give it a try? No credit card required, and if you use the link in the description, you will get access to the premium packages for 30 days. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Look forward to seeing you again soon.